Great. Hare Krishna. So we'll begin with our prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamhim Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavansha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नितिनामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर सुरिंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So we are discussing from third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on chapter 27. So chapter 27 is entitled Understanding the Material Nature. So in this, Kapil Dev, he answers the third question of Devahuti, which she asked in 25th chapter. She asked about the method of Bhakti Mishra Gyan, and she asked about the difference between Gyan and Yoga and Bhakti in 25th chapter. So he has described so far Bhakti, Yoga, and now he is describing Gyan in this chapter. So we discussed last time also. We will have a recap of what we discussed because we discussed 5 verses. So in this 27th chapter, Kapil Dev, he starts the discussion by first of all describing what is the need of liberation for a conditioned soul. What is the problem in staying in this material world? So therefore, Kapil Dev starts by telling that Prakriti stopi purusha najyate prakrite gunai avikarad akartritvan nirgunatva jalarkavat. Just like although the sun reflects on the waters, and if the water moves, it appears that sun also moves. But actually, the sun is not affected. Similarly, the jiva in its pure state has nothing to do with this material nature. It is pure and it is not affected by the modes of material nature. But because living entity starts identifying with the material nature, that's why the living entity goes through lots of problems, pains, miseries. So that is what is the reason. So just like the Lord is not affected, living entity is also not touched by the material nature. But the difference is living Supreme Lord never identifies with the material nature. But we start identifying with the material nature. Etadishanamishasya prakritisthopitat gunaihi na yujyate sadatmasthe yatha buddhir dashraya. Just like Supreme Lord, although he is acting in this material world, creates this world, maintains this world, and this is all happening under the modes of nature, right? But he never gets affected by it. Similarly, the pure devotees also not get affected. So, the living entity in the conditioned state, what happens to him? So, the second verse describes that it is like a waking state and dream state. A person in the dream state, he may feel that, he may see that a tiger is chasing him and he is getting fearful, he's sweating in the dream. But actually, nothing is happening to him. Similarly, living entity, all of us, we are living in a daydream situation where we start identifying that this person is my husband or wife or family or children or my property, and that's why we start suffering in this world. So Prabhupada writes, the living entities, they are forced to act under the modes of nature. Supreme Lord is independent. So therefore, when we start identifying Prakriteh Kriyamanani Gunaihi Karmani Sarvashah Ahankar Vimodhatma Karta Aham Iti Manyate. So when living entity starts identifying that I am the doer, I am the controller, then he suffers. And because of this conditioning, because of this identification, he takes birth sometimes in the higher species of life, sometimes in the lower species of life. The third words describes transmigration. Sansar padvi mil jati hai usko. He gets a position in this material world. What type of position? Sometimes higher, sometimes lower. And he is just forced to accept it. Avasha, he cannot demand, next life I will take birth as a devata, or next life I'll take birth in the rich family. Whatever he has done, he will get a body accordingly. ऊर्ध्वं गच्छन्ति सत्त्वस्था मध्ये तिष्ठन्ति राजसा जगुण गुणवृत्तिस्था अधो गच्छन्ति तामसा. Whatever state we have cultivated in this life, we get a body according to that in the next life. So that is what he describes. And then in fourth verse continues, Kapil Dev describes that Arthe hi avidyamanepi. Although the living entities, actually they have nothing to do in this material world. But because the same thing, I am the enjoyer, I am the controller. That's why they suffer. He thinks that I am the doer. And the moment one thinks that I am the doer, then he is entitled to the results also. So therefore he suffers. It all starts with our contemplation. And Prabhupada quotes this verse, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha Sangasteshu Pajayate. So that's how a living entity keeps on suffering in this world, thinking that this person will give me happiness, that person will give me happiness. But only there is one real friend, that is Krishna. That's what Prabhupada writes. The only friend is Krishna. If one makes friendship with Krishna, he will never be cheated. And then, after establishing that there is need for liberation, right? That is the first thing. If you want to sell a product, first you have to make a interest. आपके लिए इसमें क्या है? What's in it for me? So Kapil Dev was telling what is the need of liberation. He says, when you are suffering in this world, right? You want to come out of this suffering? Then there is only one way. Get liberated. And how to get liberation? That he tells in the fifth verse. We'll recite this verse. Yeah, I think I have put on the group also. Fifth verse is there. At eva shanaischittam prasaktam asatam pathi bhakti yogena tivrena viraktya cha nayedvasham. So therefore, gradually what he should do, a living entity, Shanai means gradually. It will not happen overnight. Aaj bharti hai, kal chakravarti. It will not happen overnight. Shanai chittam. Slowly one has to bring the mind under control. Because now the mind is attached to material objects. Prasaktam asatam pati. Now the mind is going all towards all wrong things of the world. So what we have to do? Bhakti yogena tivrena. By strong bhakti, by strong yoga, viraktya, one will get attached. So that is the whole process. Ultimately, he says bhakti yoga is the only means to get detached, to get liberated. Otherwise, it is very difficult to get liberated. And Prabhupada gives the example of Vishwamitra. He tried Ashtanga Yoga for thousands of years. But when Menaka came and started dancing, he didn't think that Mandir ka ghanti baj raha hai. No? As soon as he heard the ankle bells, all the previous memories came back. Prabhupada writes that if one wants to artificially stop the activities of the senses, his attempt will be a failure. And then from 6th to 11th verses, Kapil Dev describes the process. What is the process of attaining liberation? So we'll recite this 6th verse. By the process of Bhakti Mishra Gyan. By the process of Bhakti Mishra Gyan. What is Bhakti Mishra Gyan? Gyan which is prominent, but Bhakti is also there. So what are the various limbs of this Bhakti Mishra Gyan? Yamadibir Yoga Pathai Abhyasan Shraddhayanvitaha Mai Bhavena Satyena Matkatha Shravanena Cha. So this Jnana also includes the various limbs of yoga. That should be very clear. Whenever a person practices Jnana, Ashtanga Yoga is included in that. He has to practice various limbs of Ashtanga Yoga also, as it is said in this verse. Yamadi. Yamadi means Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dhyan, Dharana, Samadhi. They are 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga. So he says that one has to practice these processes with faith, Shraddhayanvita, and one should understand that Mai Bhavena Satyena, my form is real. If a person says form of the Lord is not real, impersonal is the absolute thing. Yeah, clearly Lord is saying my form is real. Nowhere in the scriptures it is said that ultimate is impersonal. No. Always the scriptures say that form of the Lord is real. So anyone who rejects the form of the Lord, how they will get the result? And then what they have to do? Mat katha shravanena, hear my glories, hear my pastimes. तो ज्ञानी को भी वही करना है जो भक्ता कर रहा है. So we have heard many times. ज्ञानी और अष्टांग योगी, bhakti has to be there. Whether you follow Gyan Marg or Ashtanga Yoga, bhakti has to be there. Without bhakti, you will not get the result. It will be empty bullet. It will just make sound. You will not get anything. So therefore, but bhakti ke case mein it is not that like that. If somebody is practicing bhakti and he is not practicing Gyan and Yoga, still he will get the result. Bhakti is independent. Other two paths, they are dependent on bhakti. That is the understanding. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, the practice of yoga is not the ultimate goal. Because after attaining mukti, the Ashtanga yogis, they don't do all the asanas in Brahman. वहाँ पे नहीं करना है वो सब. The interesting thing is, for a ज्ञानी, यहाँ पे जो भी कर रहा है आगे चल के उसको काम ही नहीं आने वाला. You have to do a completely different thing. For a yogi also. But for a bhakta, it is same. यहाँ पे क्या कर रहे हैं? श्रवणम कीर्तनम. वहां पे जाके क्या करना है? श्रवणम कीर्तनम. So it is like many times when students they study engineering. कोई भी इंजीनियरिंग करो कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता, डिग्री मिलना चाहिए इंजीनियरिंग. Either you have done mechanical engineering or chemical engineering, इंजीनियर है ना, आगे चल के they will train you. You just get recruited in a software company. I have done a chemical engineer. नहीं चलेगा, इंजीनियर है ना. They will train you, they will tell you everything. That is what is Ashtanga Yoga and Jnana Yoga. इधर कुछ भी करो डिग्री मिलना चाहिए, उसके बाद that is completely different thing you have to do. But for a devotee it is not. तो यहाँ पे कर रहे हैं, वहाँ पे भी वही करना है. After getting knowledge, वो वाला ज्ञान और ये वाला ज्ञान में अंतर है ना. We are cultivating ईश्वर ज्ञान, right? These jnanis they cultivate keval ज्ञान, not material ज्ञान. Keval ज्ञान. Keval means knowledge of impersonal Brahman. They are not attracted more to personal God. They are attracted to impersonal God. ब्रह्म ज्योति से attracted हो जाते. So they are cultivating a different knowledge. We are cultivating a different knowledge. We are cultivating knowledge for sure. But our knowledge helps us bring close to Krishna. So that's how Prabhupada is giving the essence in the purport. He is not confusing readers. अभी क्या करें, भक्ति करें कि ज्ञान कि योगा? Prabhupada is very simple, very easy and direct path he is giving. Practice bhakti. Don't get confused with ये ज्ञान ज्ञान को फॉलो करूं कि अष्टांग योग करूं, क्या करूं? मत कथा श्रवणेन च. Prabhupada is saying, just see क्या लिखा है, मत कथा श्रवणेन, hear the glories of the Lord. That is everything. And then Chakravarti Thakur also writes the same thing, that one should think, one should know that the form of the Lord is real. If somebody says the form of the Lord is not real, then they are not understanding the philosophy. So therefore, Mayavadis, they don't understand the philosophy at all. And then after describing the process, he now describes the qualities of the practitioner. The person who is practicing jnana, bhakti mishra jnana, what should be the qualities which he should have? So 18 qualities he gives. And then 7th verse, I think I have given in there. We'll recite that. Sarvabhuta samatvena nirvairena prasangataha brahmacharyena maunena swadharmena baliyasa. First thing is Sarvabhuta Samatvena, equal vision. That is the first requirement to practice Jnana. Equal vision. Which verse in Bhagavad Gita says this? Equal vision. Vidya, Vinaya Sampanne, Brahmane Gavihastini, Shuni Chaiva, Shvapakecha, Pandita, Samadarshinaha. Equal vision. That's where Jnanis have to start with. For us, it will come automatically. We don't have to start there. For Jnanis, the first thing they have to do is they have to leave the world. Renounce. पहले संन्यास लो, उसके बाद इधर आ सकते हैं. एंट्री फीस, एंट्री का वही है क्वालिफिकेशन. फर्स्ट संन्यास, go to forest and then follow all these things. Nirvairena, don't be envious of anyone. Don't make anyone your enemy. Nirvairena, aprasangatah. Don't.
Without any, like, better leave all this first and then.
That is where bhakti is so very simple. Wherever you are, you have to just start it. Sthane sthita shruti-gatam tanuman manobhir. Wherever you are, start the process. Therefore, bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapatti. ऐसे ही नहीं बोला है वो. To come to this stage takes many lifetimes. So therefore, whatever we have been given, it is like a lottery ticket. ऑफर मिला है, एकदम फ्री में बांट रहे हैं महाप्रभु. अपनी करी आस्वादने शिखाइला भक्त गणे प्रेम चिंतामणि प्रभु धनी. नाही जाने स्थान स्थान यारे तारे कोइला दान. महाप्रभु दाता शिरोमणि. So he is distributing this love of God to everyone without any discrimination. देखिए इतना सब क्वालिफिकेशन सुनने के बाद लग रहा है ना अच्छा है. We have nothing of this. Sarvabhuta samattvena nirvairena. Now we, all of us, I think at least some of us must have one devotee. इसका मुंह देख के मेरा मूड़ा पड़ा था. नहीं है तो अच्छा है. But some of us may have. Nirvairena, aprasangatah. Aprasangata means not associating with non-devotees, only staying with devotees. Or for Jnani, only staying with other Jnanis. Then following celibacy, maunena. What is the meaning of mauna for a devotee? Not speaking about. Not speaking about? No, for a devotee.
For a devotee is only to speak about Krishna.
Only speaking about Krishna and not criticizing any devotee. For a Jnani, they have to actually practice mauna. कुछ बोलना नहीं है. Can you imagine? 5 minutes कुछ बोलना नहीं. It is so very difficult. And that's why many times Prabhupada would say, this Baba, this yogi is practicing Maun, but what he'll have? He'll have a slate and a chalk. He'll not speak, but he will keep on writing and erasing, and he is speaking more. खाली मुंह से नहीं बोल रहा है, but mind is full active. The actual Maun is what? Speaking only about Krishna. That is Vachovegam. That is real control of tongue. Prabhupada writes, silence does not mean one doesn't speak nonsense. Silence means one speaks only about Krishna. That is the actual silence. Then Swadharmena. Swadharmena means acting according to one's occupation. What is the real occupation of everyone? Krishna, Jivira Swarupa, Krishna Nityadas. So Prabhupada is very clear in the purports. Kuch confusion nahi hai. The same philosophy which we have heard hundreds of times. Kuch bhi naya nahi hai. So Prabhupada gives the same things again and again. This is more. हाँ? ये नहीं चालू किया लगता है. Oh, you can just take this. Then this continues that devotee is satisfied with whatever comes on his own accord, on its own accord. Yadrichaya. This word comes many times. Yadrichaya. अपने आप जो आता है उससे संतुष्ट. प्लेट में अपने आप जितना डाल दिया उतना से संतुष्ट. Not asking more. एक थोड़ा स्वीट दीजिए, एक चम्मच और. Happy with whatever he gets. Santushta. He satisfied. Mitbhuk. Eats less. In a nectar of instruction, Atyahar. So, what does it mean, Atyahar?
Eating unnecessary.
Only eating?
Speaking also.
Anything we put in our senses. Mitbhuk. You should eat less. Eating means anything you put in your senses. That is the food for that sense. Seeing, hearing, speaking, tasting. Just try to do less of all the material things. Try to be more spiritual. So Prabhupada writes, what is Yadrichaya means? Everyone has a predestined happiness and distress. जितना भाग्य में है उतना तो दुख मिलने ही वाला है, उतना सुख मिलने ही वाला. Therefore Prahlad is telling, सुखम इंद्रियकम दैत्या देहिनाम देह योगिनम सर्वत्र लभ्यते दैवाद यथा दुःखम मयत्नतः. Oh my friends, everyone in this world gets what is there in written in their bhagya. सुख भी मिलता है, दुख भी मिलता है. Therefore don't endeavor for happiness. फिर क्या करना है? For what we have to endeavor? तत्प्रयासो न कर्तव्यो यथा आयु वय परम न तथा विन्दते क्षेम मुकुंद चरणाम्बुजम. Endeavor for achieving the lotus feet of Krishna. That is the real endeavor we have to do. And we have to be mitbhuk. We have to be muni. Muni matlab thoughtful. What we should think? Think of how I can serve Krishna better. That is the thought which a devotee should have. That should be the only anxiety. One time devotees, I think Uttama Shlok, one of the Prabhupada disciples, he is telling that one time they saw a big church. It was a huge church, high ceiling, and they were selling this church. So this devotee, he went to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, this people, they are selling the church and it will be very good for our temple. So Prabhupada said, so how much they are asking? So he said, Prabhupada, they are asking $500,000. I said, oh, that is a huge money. We don't want to buy anxiety. We are happy with hearing chanting. Itna kharcha karne ke liye we have to work more. No. So this devotee said, okay. Then Prabhupada said, oh, big temple hall. So this devotee said, yes, Prabhupada. And they have good place for brahmachari ashram. Yes, Prabhupada, nice 2 halls and a few rooms, and we can set up a big kitchen also. Prabhupada said, okay, I'm coming next week. We'll see. And the next week when he came there and then he landed on the airport and he said, you will go and see that church. पूरा church और देखने के बाद, Prabhupada said, he called Tamal Krishna Maharaj, said, how much do you have in BBT account? How much can you give him? So he said, Prabhupada, we can give $250,000. That's what we have. So Prabhupada said, okay. So he told this devotee, can you, manage another? So before that he said, you tell the owner that you give us in $300,000 and we will put picture of Jesus besides Krishna. And then he said, can you give him $250,000? And then he said, okay, Prabhupada will give. Then Prabhupada said, so can you manage 50,000 more dollars? He said, Prabhupada, that will be a huge lots of anxiety. We don't want to buy anxiety. We are happy chanting, hearing Prabhupada band is feast on the table. What is the use of not taking sitting and just chanting if you are not taking anxiety for Krishna? So from no anxiety to take all anxiety for Krishna. That is actually thoughtful. You have to think how to serve Krishna better. And then he gives another example of Maitreya. A devotee is friendly to everyone. How a devotee is friendly to everyone? How a devotee can be friendly to everyone?
Serving.
Okay. Helping everyone, friendly to everyone, Prabhupada says, he should be friendly to everyone, but his intimate friendship should be with devotees only. And when anyone else, they come and they tell, you should do this also. You should work like this. You will get more money. You know how you should respond? You should say, yes, yes, that's all right. बहुत अच्छा बोल रहे हैं आप. But you should never do it. Gyataya Pitra Putra. Prabhupada is paraphrasing a verse from Prahlad Maharaj's instructions. Prahlad is telling, how you should deal with your non-devotee family members, your non-devotee friends. कैसे deal करना है उनके साथ? ज्ञातयः पितरः पुत्रा भ्रातरः सुहृदो परे यद वदन्ति यदिच्छन्ति च अनुमोदेत निर्मम. Gyataya, your known person, Pitra, your parents, Putra, your sons, Bhratara, your brother, Surida, your well-wishers, and anyone else. Yad vadanti, जो भी बोले, यद इच्छन्ति, whatever they desire, ये करना चाहिए, वो करना चाहिए. You know how you should respond? अनुमोदन करिए. Anumodan means acknowledge. Yes, yes, that's all right. बहुत अच्छा session दिया. Nirmama, you should never do it. हाँ बोलना चाहिए, करना नहीं चाहिए कभी. Because after some time, they will also understand. हाँ बोलता है कभी करता है. So that in that way, you'll not spoil your relationship completely, and they will also understand इसको कितना बोलना है, or what can we expect from this person. So in that way, you should be friendly to everyone, but intimate friends should be only with devotees. And then there are so many other examples, other qualities which Bishop Dev gives. So he tells that one should learn to see matter and spirit. One should learn to cultivate the knowledge of matter and spirit. And Atma Gyan, you have to cultivate. You have to cultivate, just like Ishopanishad tells, na? Vidyam cha avidyam cha yas. You should know Vidya also and avidya also. You should have the knowledge of this world. What is avidya? Knowledge of this world. And what is vidya? Knowledge of the spiritual. दोनों चाहिए. Knowledge of this world is required to live in this world, and knowledge of spiritual world is required to leave this world. दोनों चाहिए. So that's how he describes so many qualities, and then he describes, after developing these qualities, what he should what are the characteristics of super soul which this devotee should meditate on? That he describes in the 11th verse. We'll recite this.
It's not there.
11th is there, I think.
21st is there.
Oh, it is not there. Okay. मुक्तलिंगम सदा भासम असति प्रतिपद्यते सतो बंधुम असच्चक्षु सर्वानुस्यूतम अव्ययः. Okay, no problem. So the qualities of Paramatma is described. What the ज्ञानी should think about. क्या मेडिटेट करना है, परमात्मा क्या है, कैसे हैं, उनके क्या गुण हैं. So he says Paramatma always stays in this material world only. Paramatma is not there in the spiritual world. First of all, we have to understand it. क्योंकि उधर जरूरत नहीं है ना. Spiritual. Why Paramatma is needed? To guide a living entity to spiritual world. But in spiritual world, everybody is already conscious of Krishna, so they don't need Paramatma. So Paramatma is the cause of Prakriti. Cause of the material nature is ultimately Paramatma or Shirodaksha Vishnu basically. And he is the cause of the material elements. He is the cause of everything which is happening in this world. That's how he describes. We'll not go into the detail. And then one very, very interesting section comes. So Devavati, after hearing all this, she may say that you are telling about realizing Atma, Paramatma, but how to realize that actually they are there. Atma होती है कैसे पता चलेगा, परमात्मा होती है कैसे पता चलेगा? Can you explain by प्रत्यक्ष प्रमाण or by अनुमान प्रमाण? Can we see? Can we experience? Can we make a guess कि हाँ भाई परमात्मा हो सकता है because ऐसा ऐसा हो. Just like Srila Prabhupada, he tells, how do we explain that we are not this body, we are soul? JSD. Whose hands? You say my hand, my body. So who are you? You are not different. You are different from this body. That's the logical way of understanding that we are not this body. That is called as anuman. Or anuman bolte. Similarly, Prabhupada says that two people, they are doing the same activity, but they'll get the different results. Because there is Paramatma in the heart of everyone who is directing that person. You do like this and you do like this, depending on the previous karma. So that is another way of logically understanding that koi to hai andar bhi, because both are doing the same thing, they are getting different results. How can this happen? Because Paramatma knows कि इसके भाग्य में नहीं है, इसके भाग्य में है. That's how we have to logically understand कि कोई तो होगा जो control कर रहा है ये. Somebody must be controlling, right? Otherwise, two people every year, so many people come to Mumbai thinking that will become Bollywood stars. But very few people become, because the Paramatma is there in the heart. He understands कि इसके भाग्य में नहीं, कितना भी मेहनत कर ले इसको नहीं मिलने वाला है. परमात्मा guides them according to their desire. परमात्मा का काम क्या है? उपद्रष्टा और अनुमंता, ओवरसीयर एंड सैंक्शन. सैंक्शन तभी करते हैं जब भाग्य में है. गाइड किसको करते हैं? अ डिवोटी. फॉर अ नॉन डिवोटी, परमात्मा इज अ पैसिव ऑब्जर्वर. देखते रहते हैं क्या कर रहा है, क्या खुराफात कर रहा है, कितना गड़बड़ कर रहा है. Prabhupada gives example of what? Two birds sitting on a branch. One is eating the fruit, other is watching, observing. So that is the role.
I was asking for a devotee that we see it's a destiny. So is it something like a destiny, or because our destiny is like this, that is why Paramatma is guiding?
Am I audible to others on the online? No, some people are writing. Am I audible properly? If somebody can put on the message. The voice is low. I don't know why. Okay, I'll try to be more close. Okay, so sorry.
Later.
Now, what was the question?
I was asking for a devotee also.
Hmm.
Is it something because it's your destiny that is why, you get into those things or you go on those paths in spite of being a devotee, or you tend to do something, or that time Paramatma, like as you
For
said,
a
Paramatma,
devotee, Krishna actively guides him or her towards devotional service. Whatever is favorable for devotional service, Krishna will give him. Not favorable, he will not give. He will take away everything if it is needed for a devotee to come close to him. You know the verse, no? Yasyaham manugrihinami harishye tad dhanam shanaihi. Krishna says, if I show special mercy, then I take away everything from my devotee. So Krishna just makes sure that my devotee will come close to me somehow or other. If it takes to give him something, he'll give. For Sudama, it was needed for him to become humble by becoming rich. Because he was thinking, I am so proud of my poverty, you know. मेरे जैसा गरीब तो कोई है ही नहीं. So Krishna doesn't like that pride also. Krishna gave him everything. कुछ लोग saying अच्छा है ना थोड़ा मुझे भी humble बनाओ ना. I also want to become humble in that way. But he was actually feeling like that. तो जो जिसको जैसे भक्ति में पास में लाने के लिए जरूरत है वो भगवान वैसा करता है. Okay, so now he gives the logic how to understand that Atma is there in the body. Two examples. One example he gives, just like if you see the sun in the sky and the sun is reflected on the water and the reflection from the water falls on the wall. If somebody sees the reflection on the wall, that means अच्छा यहाँ पे रिफ्लेक्शन कहाँ से आ रहा है पानी से आ रहा है पानी में कहाँ है from where it is coming in the water sun is there in the sky so by reflection of water on the wall one can understand that sun is present in the sky. Similarly, how to understand that Atma is there in the body? Atma is projected in this world through ahankar. और अहंकार से कहां पे जाती है माइंड बॉडी एंड वर्ड्स एंड दैट कम्स आउट सो whatever we speak whatever we desire it is coming from false ego में कहां से आ गया आत्मा से आ गया so that is inference you know that's how we can understand that atma is there and then he says how to understand that Paramatma is there so he says that one can see Paramatma when the Atma is purified. A pure devotee can see Paramatma. Pure devotee experiences something by which we can infer that there is something called as Paramatma. So that is the understanding. Prabhupada gives another example. What is the activity of a pure devotee and a conditioned soul? A conditioned soul, when he sees a rose, so he'll think, I'll enjoy it. I'll use it for my own sense gratification. But for a devotee, he'll offer it to Krishna. So that is how the external activities can tell us what is the nature. So that is the understanding. And then another interesting thing, जो last time हमने बहुत देर तक discuss किया था. So he says that, so Devahuti में से, can you show me Atma separately from Ahankar? Can you show me Atma? Just as I can see my eyes and ears. तो दिखता नहीं है, but still. Can I see Atma? So he says, yes, we can see Atma. कब दिखेगा? When we are deep asleep and at the time of dissolution. If you want to see Atma experience, wait till dissolution or when you are deep asleep.
When we are deep
हाँ.
sleep.
So when we go in a deep sleep, what happens? Our mind also becomes inactive. In that state, what we experience is actually a liberated platform. So अच्छा ऐसा deep sleep में मतलब हाँ अच्छा नींद आया. I slept nicely. I was really feeling good. So that happiness is coming from the happiness of soul, perceiving soul in a very, very perverted way. That is one. And second is at the time of dissolution. क्या होता है?
You see,
Perceive ना, we can perceive. ये अनुमान चल रहा है. We can perceive Atma when we are deep asleep. So after we get up from the deep sleep, I had a good sleep. I was really happy. तो किधर से आ रहा है happiness? Our mind was also not active. Our senses were not active, but still, मजा अच्छा आया. I was happy. That happiness is a perverted reflection of perceiving Atma without covering of false ego also. हाँ, ब्रह्मन रस है. वो ज्यादा देर तक नहीं है, जब तक स्लीप है तब तक है. So that is how. Or when the living entity gets up at the time of dissolution. But वो भी, it is not happy situation because it is like a billionaire being stripped of all his money. He is free, right? मुक्त हो गया है, लेकिन उसको लगेगा मुक्त हो गया मैं इतना burden से. If somebody is carrying a burden of 10 kg gold on his head, and if somebody steals it, मुक्त कर दिया आपको burden से, will you be happy? No. That is the situation of the Atma when he is in the body of Mahavishnu. मुक्त है, but the desire to enjoy is still there. That's why he's miserable. So that is the understanding. So it is not permanent realization. That is just temporary realization. So then Devoti asks another question. You are saying that liberation is very, very rare. 17th verse नहीं लगना. So she says that liberation is very rare by ज्ञान और वैराग्य और ये भक्ति आसान है क्या? How many people get liberated? हम तो बोलते हैं anyone who died ये भगवत धाम चले गए, हरि बोल. सच में गए क्या? Even for Jayanand Prabhu who made the chariot Rath, when devotee asked Prabhupada, this is such a wonderful devotee. He went to spiritual world, right? Prabhupada said, if he would have thought about Krishna, then he would have gone at the time of death. सोचे रहेंगे तो गए होंगे. और उसके पहले वो बोले, maybe he went to the heavenly planets. Devotee शॉक हो गए, क्या बोल रहे हैं? ये जयानंद प्रभु हेवनली प्लैनेट गए तो हम लोग कहाँ जाएंगे फिर? So, and then Prabhupada said, if you would have thought about Krishna at the time of that, Antakale cha mameva smarmukta kalevaram. He didn't make any conclusions. Prabhupada बोले भगवान को स्मरण किए होंगे तो गए होंगे. अभी मैं कैसे बोल सकता हूँ कि भगवत धाम गए कि कहाँ गए? The process is this. अभी उन्होंने क्या याद किया that he only knows ना. So devotee says, अरे is this so easy? आप तो बोल रहे हो ऐसा ध्यान करो ये करो, easy है क्या? Because material nature never releases living entities. कभी मुक्ति होती नहीं है. They are made for each other. Material nature is made for Purusha and Purusha is made for Prakriti. कोई ऐसा made for each other combination में कैसे निकलेंगे? So it is not so easy जो आप बोल रहे हैं. And then she gives an example. Just like you cannot separate fragrance from the earth, and just like you cannot separate taste from water. Similarly, the Lord is always with Prakriti. Ab Lord is always with Prakriti, so how can living entity be separated from Prakriti anytime? इतना आसान है क्या? आप तो बोल रहे हैं मुक्ति हो जाएगा, ये करेंगे वो करेंगे तो. Is it so simple? So because Prakriti acts on him and binds him. It is not so easy to get liberated as you are saying. And the problem is, she says, even if one gets liberated, fear is he will again get caught up. It is so very risky situation in this material world. See, जड़ भरत महाराज को देखिए, भाव के लेवल पे हैं, still he fell down. So is it so easy? You are saying that one will get liberated. So she is saying, this is my personal experience. I got association of Kardam Muni, and then she said that uh, I am cheated by material nature. I got your association, but I did not take benefit of it. I just wanted material pleasures from you, Kardam Muni. She tells Kardam Muni. So therefore she says, I have tried this. It is not so simple. By practicing jnana, it is not so easy to get liberated. So then Kapil Dev says, that's what I was saying. I was telling that bhakti means Tivra Bhakti. What is Tivra Bhakti? I think 21st verse. 21st verse I have put. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Animitta Nimittena Swadharmena Amalatmana Tivraya Mai Bhaktya Cha Shruta Samhritaya Chiram. Tivraya, my Tivra Bhakti, intense devotion. ऐसा we will eat our way back to Godhead नहीं होता है, खाते पीते भगवत धाम चले जाएंगे, हरि बोल. No, it is not so easy. Tivraya, chiram, for a long time we have to practice. Animitta nimittena, without material desires. इतना सारा उसमें स्टार मार्क है, इतना आसान नहीं है. Amalatmana, with pure heart and according to one's dharma, swadharmena, and having the knowledge of jnana, by strong renunciation, vairagyena, baliyasa, इतना सब होने के बाद, and accompanied by tapasya, तपस्या भी करना है, by intense concentration on the Lord, तीव्रेणात्म समाधिना. उसके बाद धीरे धीरे इतना सब करेंगे तो gradually the subtle body is born. ये ज्ञानियों के लिए. So it gradually disappears like the kindling stick consumes fire. धीरे धीरे. राधानाथ महाराज, अरे ये सतयुग का स्टोरी है ना. The process remains the same. Maharaj, Radhanath Maharaj tells, once he was saying, if you practice bhakti very intensely, you will advance slowly. ऐसा खेलते कूदते वाली भक्ति करेंगे तो फिर कैसा होएगा? Bhakti is also equally. Yes, you have a question. इसी को बंद करना है. हे गुप्त भाव सिंधु ब्रह्मा नाप एक बिंदु, हे न धन विलायला संसारे, ऐछे दयालु अवतार, ऐछे दाता नाही आर गुण केह नारे वर्णि बारे. That is our hope. Mahaprabhu has come and he is distributing freely love of God. Only thing he sees is, no duplicity and a sincere heart. Pure, sincerely endeavoring devotee pleases Mahaprabhu. उतना तो कर सकते हैं ना. We don't have to be concerned about इस लाइफ में भगवत धाम जाएंगे नहीं, कौन से धाम में जाना है, वो नरसिंह लोक में जाएंगे कि वामन वाले में जाएंगे. अरे इधर यहाँ पे लस्ट एंगर ग्रीड में प्रॉब्लम है, इतना सोच रहे कि कौन से धाम में जाएंगे, गोपी बनेंगे कि सखा बनेंगे। अरे वी हैव टू वर्क ऑन वेयर वी आर। फिर आगे जो मिलेगा वो भगवान दे देंगे ना। वी शुड नॉट बी, वो कर्मण्यवाधिकारस्ते खाली बोलने के लिए नहीं है। माँ फलेषु डोंट डिजायर रिजल्ट्स, फोकस ऑन एक्टिविटी। कृष्ण प्रेम कब मिलेगा, कौन से जन्म में मिलेगा, दैट इज बिटवीन, दैट इज, कृष्णा विल डिसाइड दैट। We don't have to be so much worried. We have to be worried about present. Am I giving my best? गोल कैसे फॉरगेट करेंगे अभी? I am, if I am working for bhakti, I know where I want to go, right? You know. So a devotee should not be so much result oriented. आशिलिश्यवा पादरताम पिनष्टुमाम खाली बोलने के लिए नहीं है वो, अच्छा लगता है, राइमिंग है। At some point of time you have to start practicing it also. I am focused on devotion, सेवा करना है बस। What is that? यत्र गायंत नहीं, it is said that a devotee doesn't want to go to heaven if न यत्र वैकुंठ कथा सुधा पगान साधवो भागवतास्तदाश्रया न यत्र यज्ञेश मखा महोत्सवा सुरेश लोकोऽपि न वैश सेव्यताम। A devotee does not want to go to heaven if there is no वैकुंठ कथा, कृष्ण कथा नहीं हो रहा है, नहीं जाना, वहां पे जाना ही नहीं। There is no association of devotees, I don't want to go. No festivals for glorification of the Lord. Makha Mahotsava, Suresh Lokopi, even if it is heaven, I don't want it. So devotee is not interested in liberation. Salokya, Sarishti, Samipya, Sarupya, Aikatvam, Apyuta, Diyamanam, Nagrihnanti, Vinamat Sevanam Jana. Devotee is not interested in any of the liberation if there is no service. Devotees are interested in service. तोमार सेवाय दुख होए जत सेयो तो परमा सुख। वो खाली भजन गाने के लिए नहीं है, you have to start applying also. ठीक है, दुख होगा कोई बात नहीं, it will destroy my ignorance, so that we have to start working on these principles. And we should not be thinking मुक्ति होगी कि नहीं होगी, भगवत धाम जाएंगे कि नहीं, गोलोक जाएंगे कि वैकुंठ जाएंगे, तो क्या लेने देने हम, कहीं पे भी जाओ सेवा ही करना है ना। यह यस्य हरेर्दास्य कर्मणा मनसा गिरा निखिला स्वपि अवस्थासु जीवन मुक्त स उच्यते। If somebody is living in this world and engaging his mind, body, words in service of Krishna, liberated. तो इतना क्यों दुखी हो रहे हैं, इतना क्यों टेंशन में है, भगवत धाम जाएंगे कि नहीं जाएंगे? ठीक है ना? Chant and be happy, these are two different instructions. Chant and be happy also. रोते रोते चैंटिंग मत करिए। So therefore, so Devati continues that Kapil Dev continues that you told that the fear will reappear. I'll get again bound in this material world. Fear hoga, a devotee, it is fearful, right? Many times we are fearful. भगवत धाम जाएंगे कि नहीं जाएंगे, अंत काल में भगवान याद आएंगे कि नहीं आएंगे. So devotees don't have to be so much fearful about what will happen at the time of death. That is not in our hand. We cannot plan we can plan everything in our life. We can plan our daily schedule, we can plan our children's marriage and their life and क्या होगा उनका, और हम लोग कहाँ पे रहेंगे, कौन सा रिजॉर्ट हॉलीडे में जाएंगे. We can plan our entire financial planning. We cannot plan death. प्लानिंग कर सकते हैं हम लोग, मैं मरूंगा ना तो तुम मिले गाना, ये वाला ही भजन गाना है, वो वाला पसंद नहीं है मेरे को, एंड यू डोंट से अच्छा नहीं है जाता, और आप करताल बजाना और आप मृदंग बजाना, वो दो ताल में बजाना. वी कैनॉट प्लान. और बाई चांस अगर प्लान कर भी लिया और हो भी गया, कैन वी प्लान आवर कॉन्शियसनेस एट द टाइम ऑफ डेथ? At the time of death, I'll think about Radharani. And I'll think of Krishna and Radharani or Raslila mein kya. We cannot plan all that. So what we can plan, what is in our hand? We can plan our current thoughts. We can plan our life. How we live our life. If we plan our life, if we plan our thoughts, I was telling you the day before also, Bhagavatam, only thing we have to do is our desire management. आपने को वो मैनेज करना है भाई. Then Krishna will manage our last desires, last thought, last life, how last, how we'll leave this world. Therefore, Devahuti, she said, fear again reappears. So Kapil Dev, he is addressing and he speaks a very, very beautiful verse. He says, a person who is liberated, who is fixed in the process of devotion, and who knows what he is supposed to do, if he is situated as servant of Krishna, he will never fall down. Bhukta bhoga parityakta drishta dosha cha nityashah na ishwarasya shubham dhatte स्वे महिम्नि स्थितस्य च drishta dosha. When a living entity sees the fault in Prakriti, what is the fault? The more I enjoy, the more I'll suffer. So after he gives up the desire to enjoy, bhukta bhoga parityakta, he gives up the desire to enjoy. We karna hi nahi enjoyment. I have seen all that. Millions of lifetimes I have enjoyed. Still, कामादीनां कतिन कतिदा पालिता दुर्निदेशस् तेषां जाता मयि न करुणा नत्र पानोपशान्ति उत्सृज्य एतानथ यदुपते साम्प्रतं लब्धबुद्धि त्वामायातः शरणं भयां मां नियुङ्क्ष्वात्मदास्ये. So this devotee is praying, oh my Lord, I have served my anarthas, I have served my काम क्रोध, कितने करोड़ों जन्मों से सेवा किया मैंने. तेषां जाता मयि न करुणा. They are so ungrateful masters. They are not giving me retirement. अभी भी काम कर रहे हैं. और no retirement benefits, no happiness, no peace, no relief. Utsrijyaitan, this life I have given up the service to my anarthas, I have come to your lotus. समझ जाता है वो, बहुत पिटाई हो गया अभी. There is no way I can enjoy this. This realization doesn't come easily. Because ऐसा लगता है हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन, अपना टाइम आएगा. That desire never goes. आज नहीं, next time. Fourth class intelligence never gives up. Bhukta bhoga parityakta. After he gives up this desire to enjoy, then na ishwarasya ashubham. Then the prakriti cannot do any harm to that person. अभी क्या बिगाड़ेगी, उसको कुछ लेना देना नहीं है प्रकृति से. So therefore this jiva is free from the fear because Swe Mahimni Sthitasya cha, he is situated in his constitutional position. So that is how, because he can discriminate. This is the right path, this is the wrong. Otherwise, if Swe Mahimni is not there, again and again, पता नहीं अच्छा है था कि नहीं, छोड़ तो दिया है, पता नहीं ना माया मिली ना राम, इधर के भी नहीं रहे उधर के भी नहीं. हमको तो बोला था भक्ति इज ब्लिसफुल, अरे किधर ब्लिस, इधर तो पेन ही पेन मिल रहा है, प्रॉब्लम ही प्रॉब्लम है, खाली हमको ऐसा पोस्ट डेटेड चेक दिया ऐसा. इट्स जस्ट लाइक एंटरिंग अ टनल, ह्यूज बिग टनल एंड ऐसा कर्व टनल. एज यू एंटर, इधर का भी लाइट चला गया, इधर का दिख नहीं रहा है, फंसा दिया मेरे को. तो एटलीस्ट आई वाज एंजॉयिंग हैप्पीली, राइट. अभी तो एंजॉय करने जाएंगे तो भी ऑल द गिल्ट कम्स, यू आर सो फॉलन, यू आर सो यूजलेस. इतना सब लेक्चर सुन के ये कर रहे, अरे 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 इतना नालायक है. So if Sway Mahimni is not there, then even if someone sees the fault, he will not be able to give up. जैसे स्मोकर ना, वो सिगरेट पे लिखा रहता है ना, स्मोकिंग इज इंजूरियस टू हेल्थ, still can't give up. That's how. So therefore, the more one becomes determined, the more he is fearless. 25th verse. यथा हि अप्रतिबुद्धस्य प्रस्वापो बह्वनर्थभृत् स एव प्रतिबुद्धस्य न वै मोहाय कल्पते. Just like person who is dreaming, he's seeing a tiger chasing him and he's shouting, crying, running. और वो बगल में जो बैठा है उसके वो हंस रहा है, बोले ये क्या कर रहे हैं. So a person who is sleeping, जीव जागो गौरचंद्र बोले को तो निद्रा जाओ माया पिशाचिरा खोले. Get up, we are sleeping on the lap of Maya peacefully. And अभी बीच में एक झापड़ मारती है, वो नींद खुलने वाला नहीं, कोई बात नहीं. That's how Maya Devi, for a person who is sleeping, the misery is real. Who really is miserable. He may cry also. कोई रोया ऐसा सपने में, अपना देखते देखते आंख में आंसू आ रहा है. For the person who is sleeping, the dream, the misery he is experiencing, the dream is real. Although the dream is not real, the misery is real. Only thing you have to do is get up. But Maya Devi doesn't allow you to get up. सोते रहे अच्छा है. That's how. That is what he is telling. The dream of a sleeping person causes so many anxieties. But the same thing doesn't affect a person who is awake. That is the difference. Krishna consciousness means I am free from all the illusions. I know this world is not for my enjoyment. Prabhupada said in one class, Krishna has made this world for enjoyment. पहली बार अपने वाला बोल रहे, not yours, his enjoyment. So that's how it is. So for a devotee, for a jnani, this world is miserable. He wants to give it up. For a devotee, the world is full of happiness because he uses everything in Krishna's service. That is the difference. Just like Prithu Maharaj says, he says, "Oh my Lord, whatever Jnani rejects, you give me." Jnani rejects the world, and he says, "You give me, I'll engage in your service." And whatever I reject, you give to Jnanis. I don't want liberation. अब दे दो इनको. न कामयेनाथ तदप्यहं क्वचिन्न यत्र युष्मत् चरणाम्बुजासवः स्मृतिर्पुनर्विस्मृत तत्त्ववर्त्मनां कुयोगिनां नो वितरत्यलं वरैः. So he says, I want millions of ears to hear your glories. I want millions of tongue to speak your glories. I don't want liberation. ये आप दे दो ये इन लोग को, ज्ञानियों को दे दो. I don't want it. Because if there is no service, what will I do? So that's how this jnani, this type of person, Prakriti cannot do any harm. And then in the end he says, such a yogi who has practiced itna animitta nimittena amala bhakti तीव्र भक्ति, ऐसा भक्ति ऐसा ज्ञानी करने के पश्चात after many lifetimes with complete detachment he becomes my devotee. ऐसा वो बोलते हैं, बहुनाम जन्मना मनते ज्ञानवान माम प्रपत्ति. So here also is saying the same thing. वहां पे तो ज्ञानी क्या क्या करते हैं इतना डिटेल में नहीं बताया ना, इतना फुल चैप्टर में ज्ञानी क्या क्या करते हैं. उसके बाद आफ्टर मेनी लाइफ टाइम्स ही बिकम्स डिवोटी. हरि बोल. और हमको यही लाइफ टाइम में बोल रहे हैं डिवोटी बनिए. तो हम बोल रहे हैं तो इतना मुश्किल है नहीं, सो डिफिकल्ट टू चैंट 16 राउंड्स अटेंटिवली. क्या क्या करना पड़ता है, सेवा करना है, भागवत पढ़ना है, सुनना है, डिवोटीज के साथ रहना है. अरे that's how, that is our glory, that is our fortune. Therefore in the end he says, understanding the absolute truth by my mercy, this person does not get attracted by siddhis after he becomes a devotee, and then ultimately comes to my abode. That's how he ends this chapter. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandas Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mahesh.
Am I audible, Prabhuji?
Yes, yes.
Prabhuji, like we hear many devotees, they say that we will chant in this lifetime and just get out of this world. But what we have read so far, it seems that it is very difficult in one lifetime to get out of this world. Many devotees they say just chant, and we have to get out in this lifetime only. We don't have to wait for the next lifetime.
Okay, so what is the question?
Question is this only, that and what we read just now, that it is very difficult to get out of this world in this lifetime. At least in my position, I feel it is very difficult.
It is difficult but not impossible. We can get liberated. We can go back to the spiritual world in this life. It is not impossible. It is, of course, very difficult. But a devotee, he is always thinking of service, not of liberation. And that's the highest goal of a devotee. You know, Mama Janmani, Janmani Shware. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. I don't mind coming here again and again if I get a chance to serve you. You know, that is the understanding. Of course, there is no problem in desiring liberation, but after liberation, we should also have the desire to serve Krishna. So at least getting some material desire, we are thinking of getting liberated from this material world and going back to the spiritual world. And that is itself a very glorious desire. Even higher than that desire is Ashlishva Padaratam Pinashtumam Adarshanam Marmatam Karatu. But if we are not on that level, artificially we should not think like that. Whatever level we are on, pray accordingly. We are thinking, okay, I want to get liberated because this is what we have understood by the practice of devotional service so far. Pray accordingly. The more you pray sincerely, the more Krishna will purify the desire, and we will be able to pray at a higher level. So at whatever level we are, we have to pray accordingly. And of course, we should also pray to Krishna that give me right type of intelligence, right type of prayers. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So thank you. We'll stop here. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.